Angels against the Texas Rangers from Globe Life Park. The brightest star in the game, Mike Trout, signing autographs as he always does. Joey Gallo, he provides a whole lot of pop for the Texas Rangers. And Shohei Ohtani is in the lineup tonight as the DH for the Angels, and that's good news for all of us. And hello everybody, Justin Kutcher alongside CJ Nedkowski. And CJ, let's start with Mike Trout. He has put up unbelievable numbers. He is potentially one of the all-time greats, and yet he has flown under the radar, if that's possible.
It is maybe because of the personality, but this is a guy, of course, who has never finished lower than 4th in the MVP voting in the American League throughout his career. It has been incredible. Anytime Mike Trout comes into town, it's always fun to kind of look at the numbers. You're right, we're looking at one of the greats in the game, and there's still a lot of time left for him to continue to put up big numbers. This is a fun one, though. He is one of just 2 players in Major League Baseball history where he has hit 30 or more home runs, 20 or more stolen bases in 3 seasons before he turned 27 years old. And the other guy that did that was the great Willie Mays, and that is a fun name to be able to compare the great Mike Trout with.
Okay, so we talk about Mike Trout and Willie Mays. Shohei Ohtani, what he has done in his short amount of time, it almost seems like he's gotten more attention than has Mike Trout in his entire career.
Part of the reason, of course, is that there is an entire country, and not this one, of course, Japan, watching Shohei Ohtani and everything that he has been doing so far this season. It's been amazing. We have never seen anything like this in our generation when you start talking about a guy who is doing it and getting it done on both sides of the ball at an elite level. Now, his last start came, of course, in Houston. It was his first start back in quite a while as he dealt with that elbow injury. He went 2 2/3, but as a starter, it has been pretty amazing to watch what he has done. And check this out. He is one of just 2 players in Major League Baseball history since 1900 that hit 15 home runs in a season and picked up 4 wins. The other guy, that's the greatest player to ever play the game, Babe Ruth. So some pretty amazing names that you could compare a couple of big stars in this Angels lineup with.
Okay, so far we've mentioned Babe Ruth, we've mentioned Willie Mays in this open. As for the Rangers, Adrian Beltre, this is potentially the last time that he will play in front of a national audience.
Well, for Ranger fans, they're hoping that's not going to be the case. Of course, Adrian has talked about being undecided. He'll address his future in the offseason, but this guy, of course, is a future Hall of Famer. He has been very special to this organization. We know he's played with some other teams as well, but they love him here in Texas, and he loves them right back. And you look at what he has done over the course of his career, his ranks among third basemen all time. No one has got more hits than Adrian Beltre. He has only played in 2 less games than everybody else as far as what happens with those third basemen. And how about the 439 home runs? That is the 3rd most. It has been an incredible career. And don't forget about the glove. 5 gold gloves for Adrian.
And all 3 of those guys, they play the game with a smile. The Stars are out here tonight in Arlington. We should have some fun. Mike Trout, he is the brightest of them all. Adrian Beltre, perhaps his last time on the national stage. It's the Angels and Rangers here on FS1 next. It's still a beauty. Has just one more year remaining. And then the Rangers will be moving into a new ballpark. But inside here, it's a nice night for baseball. Jeff Bannister, the manager of the Rangers, in his 4th year, one of the really good guys in the game of baseball. Always enjoy talking to him. Always able to find a positive with his group. This year, despite the record of 60 and 78, the experience that a lot of his young players are getting, that's what he takes away from this year. And of course, getting a chance to watch Adrian Beltre. He's really trying to soak it in, not knowing how much longer he'll have the opportunity to watch one of the all-time greats at third base in Adrian Beltre. On the other side is Mike Scioscia in his 19th season. He'll be 60 in November. A diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan. The Eagles open up the NFL season Thursday night at home against the Atlanta Falcons. Mike Trout, he's also a diehard Eagles fan. Those two get along very well. They will text in the offseason. How about this? Mike Trout is signing autographs right before the game starts. How do you not love that? This guy is one of the best to play the game right now, and he could be one of the best to play the game of all time as we take a look at the starting lineup for the Angels. Trout will be batting third in the order for Mike Scioscia, but leading things off is David Fletcher playing second. Shohei Ohtani will DH and bat second. There's Trout in a 3-hole. Andrelton Simmons, happy birthday to him. He's batting cleanup and playing short. Jeffrey Marte at first base will bat fifth. Taylor Ward bats sixth and plays third. Jabari Blash will play left field and bat seventh. Jose Briseño catches and bats eighth. And Michael Hermosillo will play right field and bat ninth. And they will get to face the left-hander Mike Minor, who has been very good for the Texas Rangers, especially as of late.
Yeah, he certainly has been. We'll take a look at the pitch arsenal for Mike Minor, making that adjustment after being a reliever all of last season with the Royals. Four-seam fastball, you'll see it 48% of the time. He'll throw the slider as his first secondary offering, as is the changeup. Those are the two strongest. You'll see that curveball every once in a while at 11%, and it's been a good pitch for him, even though he doesn't use it that much. Just a 143 batting average against that pitch, and it is the only pitch in his repertoire in which he is not allowed a homer. You see the numbers there. This will be his 25th start, 10-7 record, 4.33 ERA, and he's done a really nice job. 236 overall opponents batting average against. Nice splits. He's been very good against righties at 234, and lefties hitting just 247.
And how about the defense behind Minor?
Well, the defense this evening for Jeff Bannister's club, it'll be Joey Gallo, Delano DeShields, and Nomar Mazara in the outfield. And in the infield, 5-time Gold Glover Adrian Beltre at third, Elvis Andrus, Rougned Odor, Jurickson Profar over at first base tonight, and the rookie Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is doing the catching.
Isaiah Kiner-Falefa doing the catching. David Fletcher to lead things off here for the Angels, coming in with a record of 67 and 71. They won last night 3-1. Mike Scioscia's team has used 58 players this year so far. 58, the record set by the Texas Rangers back in 2014 when they used 64.
Yeah, not a record I think anybody really wants to get after. You see the numbers right there. And how about this? 15 starting pitchers for the Angels. That's the second most in baseball, but really it's kind of the first, because the team that's first is the Tampa Bay Rays, and they're using that opener, and they don't really count. So when you start digging in a little bit and looking at true starters that have made starts for the Angels, well, they are number one, another category which they probably wish they were not leading.
And the guy they have starting tonight, Andrew Heaney, he is a guy who has been at least durable for them this year. Andrew Heaney has made 25 starts. So here is David Fletcher. Fletcher on the season, 274, a home run, and 24 RBIs. Now against Minor, opponents batting just 171 against him since the All-Star break, third in Major League Baseball. And this is a guy who is back in as a starter, signed a 3-year deal in the offseason with the Rangers with the intent to be a starter after being a reliever for the Royals last year. And the first pitch, fastball, misses outside for ball one. So there is the number we were talking about. In the American League, a 171 batting average against since that All-Star game.
And that's a really encouraging sign for the Rangers, right? Anytime you take a pitcher out of the bullpen, put him back into the rotation, you worry about, well, what's going to happen down the stretch as he passes his innings from a year ago, and he has blown those away. Well, Mike Minor has opened some eyes around here in Arlington as he has gotten better as the season has gone on. He has gotten stronger, and that's been certainly a very encouraging sign.
You hear often guys trying to come back from Tommy John surgery. He was coming back from a torn labrum. Fouls it back. 2 balls and 2 strikes now to Fletcher.
He missed a lot of time, did not pitch in the big leagues in 2015 or 2016. Made 25 starts in 2014 in Atlanta, so that's a lot of time away, and that's part of the reason the Rangers want to be a little bit careful with how they treat him.
Fletcher down the left field line. That'll get down off the wall. Gallo's got a strong arm out there in left field. Throws to second. Not in time. A leadoff double for Fletcher. That's his 14th double of the season.
We'll take a look at the pitch here first from Mike Minor. It looked like it was the 4-seam fastball. He does not throw a 2-seamer. It's a 4-seamer. That one cut back over the plate. You see the catcher Isaiah Kiner-Falefa reaching back over. They were trying to go away. And you're right, Joey Gallo has got an absolute hose. And under normal circumstances, it's an easy automatic double. Joey Gallo out there and the way that ball bounced to him, he had at least a shot to make it interesting.
Now Shohei Ohtani DHing lefty against lefty. Not something he has done too often. His power numbers overall: 276, 15 home runs, 43 RBIs. All 15 of those home runs have come against right-handed pitchers. But with Albert Pujols essentially gone the rest of the year after having knee surgery, we're going to see Ohtani in that lineup a lot.
Well, that'll give him an opportunity to get some at-bats against lefties. It has not gone particularly well. You mentioned the home runs, but if you're looking even at the batting average, he's hitting just 177 against lefties this year in limited opportunities, 311 against righties. But now with him pitching again on Sundays, he'll probably get a few more starts against left-handed pitching.
Able to check the swing, the appeal to third base, and Jerry Lane, the crew chief, says he did not go. So 2 balls and a strike to Shohei Ohtani. How about this? Come off his last 23 games, hitting .333, 6 home runs, 18 RBIs. There's a fastball in the outside corner. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
What he has done offensively this year is probably the biggest surprise. We know that he had some issues pitching wise. There was talk about the velocity in spring training, but he looked significantly worse as a hitter in spring training, and I think he was just doing what you do on the golf course, sandbagging all of us.
I wish that were the case.
I'm like a 15 handicap. 75. What?
2-2 breaking ball is bounce foul. Be honest, as a pitcher, how impressed are you by what he has been able to do this year?
It blows you away. I mean, unfortunately, we didn't get to see him pitch the entire year. We didn't get to see him as much as we wanted to, but it's been incredible. I mean, you look at the size of this guy, the athleticism that goes along with Shohei Ohtani, that he can take the mound, repeat delivery, dominate some really good lineups. It's been a treat to watch.
Again, stays alive against the breaking ball. As a pitcher, as a hitter, 11 Ks per 9 innings, a 3.31 ERA. He had the elbow injury, which scared everybody, not just for the Angels, but scared everybody in baseball, because he was the talk of baseball the first month or so of the season.
I mean, remember, there was talk, and I actually thought it would have been justified and a smart move to start him in the minor leagues based on how his spring training went. And then you were also justified in keeping him down so you control that service time as well. And you know you'd have him for 7 years, much like we've seen with guys like Ronald Acuna Jr. and Juan Soto and Chris Bryant, a bunch of other stars.
Takes the breaking ball for strike 3. A good pitch right there by Mike Minor to pick up the first strikeout of the game.
Well, this is the breaking ball from Mike Minor, the curveball. Really good look at the grip. We mentioned he doesn't use it that often. We showed you just 11% of the time, but it's been a great pitch for him. And you see Shohei Ohtani just admiring this one. You see that flinch right there as that pitch crosses right over the middle of the plate.
Now with Mike Trout at the plate, you wonder how careful will he be with first base open. got Trout on the first pitch. Fastball. A hit by pitch.
Take a look at this pitch here from Mike Minor. We were talking about how a lot has been cutting. We've seen a couple of fastballs kind of go in that direction, and that one at 93 miles an hour had more cut on it than Mike Minor wanted it to have, and it caught Mike Trout, looked like just below that right knee or top of the shin. Regardless, that's all bone in that area.
And Mike Trout's one of the strongest guys in baseball, built like a linebacker. But that's one of the spots where you don't have any muscle to protect you.
Yeah, he's hurting a little bit. You can tell by that reaction and the frustration from Mike Trout, and certainly no intent on the part of Mike Minor. But as I mentioned, you've seen it this inning, those fastballs have been cutting a little bit, not staying true the way that he would like them to. He only throws the four-seam fastball.
It's just the 7th hit batter of the season for Minor. But it's first and second, one out now for Andrelton Simmons, the birthday boy. There's a first pitch breaking ball. 1 ball and no strikes. Simmons on the season, putting together another good offensive season. 293, 9 home runs, 65 RBIs to go along with his Gold Glove caliber shortstop. Double steal, the throw down to third base, not in time. Fletcher takes third, Trout trails and takes second, and Trout is still hobbling as he is hunched over at second base.
We'll take a look here. We talk about stolen bases so often, how they are off the pitcher, and it's a really good jump and absolutely no chance to get Fletcher for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. You see how far down and towards third base he was by the time Mike Minor was delivering that pitch.
So now 2 men in scoring position for Simmons. 1 out here in the top half of the first. 1 ball, 1 strike to Simmons. Pops it foul, out of play. 1-2.
And Andrelton Simmons has been really good in these spots. We know how he is ultra aggressive. He is swinging early, but hitting .304 so far this season with runners in scoring position, and really the top of this order for the Angels have all been crushing it, all better than a .300 average with runners in scoring position so far this year.
One, two is bounce foul. We'll do it again.
One of the things that Mike Minor does that's pretty interesting, he picks his spots, but he will actually throw his changeup inside to right-handed hitters, kind of a front door changeup, and his changeup is pretty firm. It averages 86 miles an hour, so about 6 or 7 miles an hour off of his fastball. It's not a lot of differential, and so that pitch will act like almost a 2-seam fastball. But he knows this. He knows Andrelton Simmons is going to swing. He's not a guy that draws very many walks. He's not a guy that likes to get very deep in counts. So you can expand the zone a little bit and try to either go for the strikeout or at least get some weak contact.
Missing low and outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Andrelton Simmons not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. Second in Major League Baseball, hitting .290. Overall, he's hitting .293.
He's having a really good offensive year. But I mentioned the strikeout rate, 6.6% in the strikeout rate. That is absurdly low.
A ground ball to shortstop. Andrews has 1 play. That's to first. That'll score the run. RBI ground out for Simmons as Fletcher comes across. 1-0. Angels take the lead. That'll bring us to our keys to the game, brought to you by Ford.
Well, we're going to keep it simple here for the Angels. How the left was one, of course, the lefty Haney will be throwing tonight, and there are 4 lefties, impact lefties, in that Ranger lineup tonight, in Shu Odor, Mazara, and Joey Gallo. And then for the Rangers, just got to avoid the big fish. I don't mean hit him in the knee, but you can pitch around him. We've already talked about the fact that there's no Albert Pujols the rest of the year in this lineup. There's also no Justin Upton right now. So 2 of the bigger bats that can do some damage are not there. And so you avoid Mike Trout, work around him a little bit, and make the rest of these Angels beat you.
First pitch to Jeffrey Marte. Just going inside for ball 1.
Circle back. I'm not advocating violence in that situation. Don't hit him. Just, pitch around him a little bit.
couldn't quite pitch around the back knee.
It was a tough one.
210, 5 home runs, 18 RBIs for Marte, with Trout leading off at second base. He's gone to the breaking ball more often in this first inning than we've seen from Mike Minor.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and I think with him, it just shows you the craftiness of the veteran, right? Making the adjustment. He has been cutting his fastball. The velocity's been good, but he's been cutting it, so it hasn't been ending up where he wants it to be. So instead of forcing that situation, he's gone to the breaking ball a little bit more.
Missing down low, you could hear Jordan Baker make the call behind home plate. 2 balls and 1 strike. A leadoff double by Fletcher. Ohtani struck out. Trout was hit by a pitch, a double steal. Simmons the RBI ground out. And now a spin and a look back to Trout, and you can still see Trout is not 100% down there at second base.
And not happy that he had to go back to second there just because that knee is bothering him, and he's thinking, man, you already drilled me once. I'm just trying to get by. Now you're going to make me run back to second base.
In there for a strike, 2-2.
So even the changeup cutting there a little bit for Mike Minor. You see both of those pitches, the four-seam fastball, the changeup I mentioned. He'll throw it inside to righties on purpose, but that wasn't unintentional for Mike Minor. So maybe just working through a little bit of that follow through. A lot of times for pitchers, if the ball starts cutting and you don't mean it to, it's because you're cutting that ball off and not driving all the way through the glove.
The 2-2 for Minor. And that's bounce foul. We'll do it again. .24 pitches so far here in the inning for Minor, who has been very good his last 5 starts, 4-1, a 2.64 ERA. A former first-round pick of the Atlanta Braves back in 2009, 7th overall pick. A couple of first-rounders going at it here tonight, and he and Andrew Heaney. And he gets him with a changeup as Marte goes down swinging. 2 strikeouts in the inning, but the Angels strike first, 1-0. Shin-Soo Choo leads things off here against Andrew Heaney. And he takes the first pitch in there for a strike. Choo on the season, 275, 21 home runs, 61 RBIs. An all-star this year. Breaking ball Drops in for a strike, 0-2. Andrew Heaney works quickly, has been effective this year for the Los Angeles Angels. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. One away. As we take a look at the lineup that Heaney will face, we just saw Chu, Rougned Odor bats second, Elvis Andrus in the 3-hole. 4, 5, 6, Nomar Mazara, Adrian Beltre, Jurickson Profar, then 7, 8, 9, Joey Gallo, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and Delino DeShields. And here is Rougned Odor, the second baseman, now batting .269 on the season. Trying to drag a bunt, pulls it foul, 0-1.
It's been a big part of Rougned Odor's game and something that he's done extremely well. As you take a look at those overall numbers for the year, it's been quite the turnaround season as well for Rougned Odor. He got off to a slow start and he continued to work. He was trying to make some adjustments, trying to improve his patience, and all that work had paid off. But the bunts have been something. He's a guy that will be shifted against. He's also got some good speed.
That's 5 straight strikes thrown by Heaney. A first-round pick, 9th overall by Miami in 2012 out of Oklahoma State. Grew up about 3 hours away from here in Oklahoma. And the breaking ball misses for his first ball of the game.
Just to give you an idea how the turnaround season has been, on May 31st, Rougned Odor was hitting .202. The strikeouts were piling up and the struggles were there. Since then, .292 with an OPS over 900, including 17 home runs.
You get a chance to see these guys on a virtual daily basis. What do you think it really attributes to the turnaround for him?
You know, he had a process he talked about in spring training, because last year didn't go particularly well for him, and he was trying to get to the point where recognizing where are my strengths in the strike zone and trying to stay off everything else.
In the air to left field. Jabari Blash is over there, makes the catch. 2 away.
Let's take a look at the pitch arsenal for Andrew Heaney, the lefty for the Angels. Two-seam fastball 59% of the time, a pitch he will use predominantly. We'll see the curveball and you'll see the changeup as well. And the curveball, much like Mike Minor, has been a very good pitch for him. Just a 168 batting average against that pitch so far this season. 26th start of the year, and even 8-8 record. But good strikeouts there, 144 for him in 152 innings. The walk rate has been excellent for both of these guys. 2.3 per 9 for Heaney and 2.1 per 9 for Mike Minor. So we know you're going to see some strikes tonight.
The off-speed pitch misses high and outside for ball 1 to Andrus. Elvis Andrus, 271, 5 home runs, 30 RBIs. Cues one foul down the first baseline. Andrus has played in just 76 games. Missed a lot of time earlier in the season.
He got hit with that fastball by Keenan Middleton. The right-handed reliever here was actually out for the season now. First time in his career for Elvis Andrus to have to go on the DL. It was tough for him.
It was, yeah.
You know, he's an exciting player, loves to be out there, loves to have fun.
This is what we're talking about.
And there was no intent there, and you see the date, April 11th, so it was early in the season. We were only about, I guess, 12 or 13 days into the year, and it caught him right on that elbow at 98 miles an hour.
Andrus in the air to left field. The wind is blowing in. Blash is back on the warning track to make the catch. And because the wind is blowing in, that one stayed in. It's 1-0 Angels after 1. Taylor Ward to lead things off here. Top half of the second, 1-0. Angels leading the Rangers. Ward against Minor. Let's see if Minor can bounce back. First pitch, Ward swings and fouls it back out of play.
Ward's got some pretty drastic splits. He's done a really nice job against lefties this year, hitting .304, but just .154 against righties. And you see the 3 home runs. He hit his 3rd home run last night against the Rangers, and it was a big one, a game that the Angels were able to win 3-1.
Missing inside again. 1 ball and 1 strike, and this is an opportunity for Minor, who threw 25 pitches in that first inning, with Ward, Jabari Blash, Jose Briseño, to try to work a quick inning. 1-2. Keep that pitch count down. And there is strikeout number 3 for Minor.
It's encouraging velocity, 94 miles an hour. You're going to get a good look at the 4-seam grip on this fastball from Mike Minor, and it's all heat at the top of the zone. And I mentioned how the Rangers were pleased with how well he has carried his stuff late into the season. When you see 94, I think everybody expected the velocity to come down a little bit, and of course it's going to. You come out of the bullpen and go into the rotation at 30 years old, yes, you're going to see a couple of ticks down. And for Mike Minor, last year his fastball averaged 94.7 miles an hour. This year it's been about 92.7, so 2 miles an hour slower, but I think that's to be expected.
Jabari Blash rips one foul down the 3rd baseline. Jabari Blash, one of the September call-ups, getting the start out there in left field.
This is a guy that's got some unbelievable raw power. Mike Sosa was talking about him today before the game and talked about how he had made some adjustments in winter ball this past year. It was a waiver claim from the New York Yankees in spring training, and they were really happy with the year that he had, and he was very honest about it. Of course, with the Angels AAA team being in the Pacific Coast League, it's a high offensive powered league, a lot of high elevation cities.
317, 29 home runs, 68 RBIs. The 29 home runs led the PCL.
1,100 OPS in AAA, man. Those are monster numbers.
3-1, got him with a changeup. 3-2.
You generally don't see changeups that good in 3-1 counts in the minor leagues.
Minor looking for 3 straight strikeouts. And he issues a walk, which is not something Minor does frequently. 2 or few walks in 21 of his 24 starts this year. So a 1-out walk to Blash. Now Jose Briseño in 32 games, 267, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs. Doing the catching tonight for the Angels. And CJ, I know you've talked about this. You talked about it with Charlie Nagy, the pitching coach. The catching tandem for the Angels has changed completely this year.
Martin Maldonado, of course, was the starter here and an absolute workhorse for the Angels for the last couple of seasons. Finally got an opportunity getting out of Milwaukee. He was a backup, of course, for so long to Jonathan Lucroy. He's a really good receiver. He's off to the Houston Astros. And then Rene Rivera, who is an unbelievable defensive backup, great hands. One of those guys that we talk about when we mentioned receiving and how important that is. He's one of the best. He got traded to the Atlanta Braves to go help them out as they go on their postseason run. And so it's a couple of young catchers as they have completely turned things over behind the plate. So they went from veteran experienced guys to the way that I believe Mike Sosa mentioned it. They got experience. It's minor league experience. So they're learning now at the big league level. But he likes both of these guys that they have. Him and Arcia both. He said they're absolute sponges. And that's what you love to hear when you have Mike Sosa as your manager and you're a catcher. That's probably a good idea.
2 balls and no strikes. The count here to Briseño. Sosa gave a lot of credit to Steve Solis, working with both the catchers. Minor just said, you know what, 2-0, let's just challenge him with a fastball. Let's go at him. 2-1.
You see, that's overall as far as what the Angels catchers have done this season. And a lot of that work is Martin Maldonado and Rene Rivera. But both of these guys have thrown the ball pretty well so far. They each have thrown out 4 of 12 potential base stealers. That's 33%. That's above the league average, which sits around 28%.
Missing down low again with a fastball, 3-1. You can tell that Minor is fighting his control here in the first inning and a third.
Yeah, a little bit.
Despite the 3 strikeouts.
The way the ball's coming out of his hands at time, he's come back and thrown a really good changeup, thrown a really good fastball that has stayed true. Every once in a while, that little cut is kind of creeping back.
Runner goes on 3-1.
Oh.
Kiner Falefa's throw down, not in time. Blast with a stolen base.
Oh, Isaiah Kiner Falefa was kind of wondering if they were going to get interference. This was actually an issue last night for the Angels, or on the swing and the miss, if the batter leaves the batter's box and gets in the way of the catcher, and the base stealer is usually ruled out. Let's watch it here. Oh man, that's pretty surprising that that wasn't called. Bryce Samuel stepped on the plate. That was, and you see even Isaiah Kiner Falefa almost trying to throw around him a little bit. It's pretty surprising.
Does a more experienced catcher try to hit the runner, hit the batter? In the air to left field, Gallo has plenty of room.
Well, it's funny you mention that because Robinson Chirinos was catching last night for the Texas Rangers, the veteran, and there was contact, and that's probably what you want to do. Your first instinct, I got to believe, for a rookie, especially a guy who hasn't caught a ton over the course of his career, is to try to avoid contact. As you get a little slicker and a little older, you start banging into guys a little bit and make it look like it's their fault, and maybe you get the call. There's Robinson Chirinos with Carlos Perez sitting to his right.
So 2 away now, runner in scoring position for Michael Hermosillo. The right fielder tonight, Cole Calhoun, getting the night off with the lefty Minor on the hill. And the first pitch is fouled back. So this is last night. This is what you're talking about.
Ariel Gerardo on, and this was a strikeout, and so Fernandez just kind of kept going. But you see Robinson Chirinos, the follow through. Look at the difference between this throw compared to what Isaiah Kiner Falefa did, right? And it's a natural instinct to try to avoid that contact, but he actually was going forward, reached out with his arm, and then pointed to him to make sure the umpire saw it.
1 ball and 1 strike.
It'll be interesting to see if Robinson has a conversation with Isaiah Kiner Falefa about that. And the umpires do their best to see everything they can, but as a catcher, you can really help the umpire along in a lot of different ways. Pitches, interference, all that kind of stuff.
Pulled down the left field line, hooking foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes here to Hermosillo.
He was out in front of this one a little bit. Take a look at this pitch trying to go in, and it was middle in, but maybe not quite as far in. Now, part of this too, and this will fool you a little bit, right? You see how hard he hit it, but it was so foul. And the reality is that had he kept that ball fair, he wouldn't have hit it as hard. There's no way you're getting the barrel to it the way that he just did and keeping that ball fair. I was watching Joey Gallo. He kind of deked me a little bit. You know, sometimes you watch the ball, sometimes you watch the outfielders from this position. I was watching him, and I was like, oh, no, I'm going to get out of here. And I heard you say foul. I'm like, are you sure? And it was way foul. Probably smarter to watch the ball.
2 balls and 2 strikes here to Hermosillo. Well, it hasn't been that quick inning that Minor was hoping for. Now at 45 pitches, 20 pitches this inning, 25 in the first inning. You showed off your math earlier. I showed off my math now.
Well done.
And he gets him with a changeup. 4 strikeouts through 2. It's 1-0 Angels over the Rangers. 1-0 Angels lead the Rangers. Nomar Mazara, Adrian Beltre, Jurickson Profar to face Andrew Heaney, who worked a 1-2-3 bottom half of the first. Mazara 20 home runs, 68 RBIs, a 265 average, and that one's up and in. Backs him off the plate. 1-0.
Well, Nomar probably not liking this pitch too much. You see Mazara there getting out of the way. That fastball is well up and in. Remember, it's two-seam fastball for Heaney, so it's going to be running in toward those lefties.
Right there down the middle, first strike, 1-1. Fouled back, watch out. 1-2 the count now to Mazara. Not much of a shift on for Nomar Mazara.
No, I think what happened over the course of this season is that shortstop position where Anderson Simmons is right now, they used to leave it open. Nomar Mazara can use the whole field really well, and he had plugged that hole a couple of times, and so teams started shifting back and playing him relatively straight up. And if you even notice, as we saw, Mike Trout is shaded toward left center. Not much, but a little bit. As you see the infield there, now they're starting to move a little bit with 2 strikes, and we see this a lot with teams. They'll adjust according to count. But you saw Mike Trout back there in center field. And it tells you all you need to know about Nomar Mazara and the way that he can spray the ball in the outfield.
Another 1-2 hit to left field. That will get down and all the way to the wall as Blash has to go back to play it. It's a leadoff double for Mazara, his 20th double of the season, and spraying it the other way.
And you can see why the Rangers are really excited about Nomar Mazara at 23 years old in his 3rd full season in the big leagues, and he takes swings like this against left-handed pitching, and that's a mature approach. You don't try to get too big. You don't try to turn on that pitch short to the ball. Nice level swing, nice, calm, cool, collected, not a lot of movement, and he's able to hit that thing with some authority the opposite way.
And how about the approach with 2 strikes? He didn't overswing with 2 strikes. Love that. Now Adrian Beltre at the plate. And Beltre takes the first pitch in there, first strike. Adrian Beltre has played in 98 games this year, 270, 8 home runs, 48 RBIs. There are moments when he still looks like he's 28, 29. Late on that fastball, 1-1. By the way, you know they have a Beltre burger here?
It's amazing to me that I had to learn that from you. It's kind of embarrassing, actually. I didn't know that, and I should have known that. And I could have lied and said I knew, but I didn't, so I'd like some points for my honesty. But I didn't know, but obviously you did.
I learned about it pregame, and because this might be his final national game, we don't know for sure as he shoots one the other way. Coming in as Hermosillo makes the running catch. And Mazara will have to hold there at second base. I thought it would be only appropriate if I had one during the broadcast.
Well, I mean, you have a nice little streak going here as well in Arlington. I believe it was a year ago that you downed the entire boomstick. I take that back. You didn't eat the bread, but you ate everything else.
I was watching my carbs, okay? So, that is what the burger looks like.
I mean, I've known you for a few years now. I think you could eat 2 of those. Don't be fooled by Justin's size. He's got the stomach of Andre the Giant.
One away now for Jurickson Profar. The switch hitting utility infielder now. Fouls the first pitch back, 258, 15 home runs, 69 RBIs. This has been a bounce back resurgent season for Profar.
Really important one. Remember, it wasn't that long ago that he was the consensus #1 overall prospect in all of Major League Baseball and in the big leagues at 19 years old, but had some injuries that got in the way. And now here he is at 25. Still plenty of time for him to be a star in this league. But this has been a real opportunity for him. He's out of options. They weren't sure what was going to happen. He didn't have a great year last year, an up and down year for him. And they said, okay, well, you know, you'll be the guy that's going to give some guys days off here and there because you can move them around the entire infield. Well, Adrian Beltre got hurt. Elvis Andrus got hurt. Rougned Odor got hurt. And so Jurickson Profar was the benefactor of those injuries, consistent playing time, and he's done a really nice job for the Rangers this season.
That bounce is somehow avoided Profar. 1-2. A good stop by Briseño as well. And you think about Jurickson Profar, who has played first, second, short, third this year. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is catching tonight, has played third base. I mean, there are some guys who have versatility on this Rangers team, which when you're going with, not in September, but usually with a three-man bench, that's huge.
It is, and it's really a trend in the game, and the Rangers are in a really nice position in that regard right now.
Simmons from short makes it look so easy. 2 away. MLB on FS1 is sponsored by Swiffer. If you've got a life, you got a Swiffer. The wind has been blowing here at Globe Life Park in Arlington, blowing in from left field. Kept a ball in, hit by Elvis Andrus. 2 away here in the second for Joey Gallo. And usually if Gallo gets one up in the air with something behind it, doesn't matter how hard the wind is blowing, it will leave the ballpark.
I believe Mike Sosa was in awe of Joey Gallo's power as he was talking about it today. He said it's a strong man they got over there, and he's right. And you were just talking about the flexibility that the Rangers have. Joey Gallo has played every outfield position this year. He has played first base, and he's a third baseman. He naturally is a third baseman, but it seems like they're going to stay away from third based on the way that this roster is constructed.
Well, he himself has said he doesn't want to go back to play third. He's got that good arm, that third baseman's arm. Can utilize that in left field, right field.
They've given him some starts in center, and the Rangers were in a pinch a couple of times, and they wouldn't want him out there all the time. They know that'd be tough on his body, but he's held that position down. And he really is an excellent first baseman. I mean, you put him over from third to first, it's not an automatic. He does a really nice job over there, but Ronald Guzman is also an excellent first baseman, and I say that, and neither one of those guys are playing first base tonight, because with Adrian Beltre at third, that slides Jurickson Profar over from third to first. And with the lefty going especially, you want to get your switch hitter Profar in there.
1 ball, 2 strikes, the count here to Gallo. 2 away in the second. In the dirt, and you could see Heaney and Briseño not wanting to give Joey Gallo anything to hit here.
They know with Joey Gallo, even though the batting average is low, you see it there overall at 207. It's 225 against lefties. He's got 12 home runs against lefties this year. 854 OPS. The OPS is actually higher against lefties than it is righties.
He's got 178 strikeouts on the season, make it 179 as Heaney gets out of the second. We head to the third. 1-0 Angels. 87 degrees at game time here at Globe Life Park. Top of the third, 1-0 Angels leading the Rangers. Top of the order for the Angels. David Fletcher led off the game with a double. Came around to score on the RBI ground out by Andrelton Simmons, the only run thus far. Minor starts him off with a breaking ball. That's been his best pitch so far tonight.
Yeah, it's been a good one for Mike Minor, and we talked about how that was the pitch that he kind of uses least of the secondary offerings, but you know what? That's a sign of a veteran. You make the adjustment, you go to what's working.
Back up the middle, backhand play by Odor. And now making the turn at first is Fletcher to go to second as the ball got by Jurickson Profar. Minor looks to be okay. And that's probably going to be a hit and an error.
I think that's a safe bet. And as we take a look at this replay, I wasn't sure if it caught the glove or caught the hand. We saw kind of both of them go up. Good pitch down and away. And Mike Minor, it looked like it caught a little bit of that bare left hand, but luckily, as he was turning sideways, more of a glance than direct contact. A little scary for a pitcher whenever that happens. Great attempt by Rougned Odor, and then unfortunately for Jurickson Profar, he couldn't come up with the pick.
It will be a hit and an E4. So again, Fletcher's on at second with nobody out, leading off the inning. And here's Ohtani. And a good at bat his first time up, but struck out. What is that feeling like when the comebacker as a pitcher on the mound?
It's not a good one.
Well, I knew that.
It's, you know, it scares you a little bit. It shakes you for a second. Mike Minor's about as mentally solid as any guy you're going to run across, and the idea of trying to get it out of your mind pretty quickly, not think about it too much. You're going to get hit as a pitcher if you have any length in the game. It's going to happen. You're going to have a bunch of near misses as well. And if you allow yourself to think about it now, then you're going to be hesitant. You're going to cut pitches short, and you're probably going to get knocked out of the game because you're not being effective.
Ahead in the count, 0-2. Called strike three on the outside corner. Another strikeout for Minor against Ohtani.
A good use of a slider here for Mike Minor as this pitch just catches the outside corner. And the way that Ohtani hits, you see him kind of falling backwards toward first base. That's part of his style. Now, it's after the fact, but pitching him away, up and in off the plate, probably a good game plan, especially left on left. And that was all around great execution by Mike Minor.
So here's Mike Trout. Got hit by a pitch right around his back knee his first time up. Takes the first pitch down low for ball one. The Angels so far 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position against Minor. Breaking balls in there for a strike, 1-1. You know, when you have a great player like Mike Trout, one thing, when I used to go to games and watch Ken Griffey Jr., it seemed like every single game that I went to go watch him play, he did something memorable. That's what I feel happens with Trout. Whether it's a play in the outfield, a hit, a home run, something, even just signing the autograph prior to the game, a young fan's jersey.
He's great about that. And for a guy of his stature, remember, it is nonstop where people are trying to get his attention and asking for his time, but it's not lost on him the impact he can have.
Ground ball to short, good break by Fletcher. And they retire Trout 6-3, 2 away.
It's a big out for Mike Minor. You were talking about that pitch count, the pitch count before. It's up to 55 through 2 2/3, and as we've mentioned as well, that Mike Minor, of course, coming off that season of being a reliever, hadn't been a full-time starter since 2014. The Rangers are keeping an eye on that total pitch count. He's only gone over 100 3 times so far this season, and in each of his last 5 starts, he has peaked out at 90.
Simmons takes the first pitch for a strike.
He had a game 2 starts ago against the Oakland A's where he absolutely dominated. 6 innings, 1 hit, 73 pitches, and they took him out. Even though you'd love the idea of him maybe going a little bit deeper and racking up those innings, the Rangers doing the best they can to preserve what they can for Mike Minor.
Simmons to Odor, who had him played perfectly. And they get around the infield single, an error. We head to the bottom half of the third, still 1-0. First pitch to Isaiah Kiner-Falefa from Andrew Heaney is in there for a strike. Kiner-Falefa hitting .263, 4 home runs, 32 RBIs on the season. And that's outside for ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Overall numbers have been pretty good for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. You see the batting average there for the rookie. He's done a really nice job, and he's played a bunch of positions for the Rangers. His best position, I think, is probably third base. He's a really, really good third baseman, but you look at this roster and he has the ability to help as catcher, and that's worked out pretty well. Also, second base is a good spot for him. He can play short. And he's kind of redefining the utility man role, or at least taking it to a level that we really haven't seen.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a utility guy who has caught the way he has.
Yeah, Blake Swithart's probably a good, as close as you're going to get to a comp as far as a catcher, but he was a catcher first, and then they started moving him around some other positions this year. He's played a ton of positions for the Boston Red Sox.
Foul back. So at catcher 25 games, second base 20 games, third base 42, shortstop 2. Honestly, I don't know of another guy to do that in my lifetime.
It's probably a good point. It's worth a Google search. We'll get Ed to do something over there. He just seems to be counting down the minutes till that burger gets here.
Or counting down the minutes till the Eagles open up their season on Thursday night. 2 balls and 2 strikes here to Kiner-Falefa against Andrew Heaney. And a fan made a nice catch here at Globe Life Park. Gets an ovation from the crowd. 2-2 off the end of the bat to left field. That'll drop in for a base hit. A leadoff single here for Kiner-Falefa. Well, follow the Rays to the postseason on MLB.tv for $25.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game, plus get a free subscription to MLB At-Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this limited time offer. Second hit of the game for the Rangers against Heaney. And here is Delano DeShields. DeShields trying to bunt. Heaney picks it up in fair territory, flips it Like a second baseman turning a double play to first base where David Fletcher was covering.
How in the heck did he catch that ball?
I don't know. That was a heck of a play all the way around.
It certainly was. First, we'll watch the bunt here from Delano DeShields. It pops up in the air, and he's got tremendous speed. That ball probably would have went foul, but Andrew Heaney decides to run the option, and he pitches it to Fletcher. And that's amazing that he did not hit Delano DeShields, and that Fletcher was able to focus and see that ball on the other side, right? Because when he's looking at that play, he's on the right side of Delano DeShields, and he ends up catching it on the left side. That was some pretty tremendous focus and a really nice defensive play.
One away now with Kiner Falefa going down to second base. Sacrifice 1-4. Shin-Soo Choo takes the first pitch low and outside for ball 1.
Why is my mouth suddenly watering?
My nostrils. It just smells so much better in here.
What in the world?
Wow. That's what I'm talking about. Now, just so you know, I'm not doing the potato chips. In the dirt. 2 balls and no strikes. Here it is, the Beltre burger in honor of Adrian Beltre. This is gonna happen. It's going down.
I mean, that's so we can
and
put
I'm
it to
not
scale.
sharing.
That's fine. Put it to scale. Just I'm not going to touch it. But look, this is my hand. I don't have small hands. I have pretty decent sized hands. I don't know if I can get that whole burger with that hand.
Now, I will eat with a knife and fork, but I will take that one down.
Why would you admit that? You can do it.
Because otherwise it's going to be just really messy.
I'll get you a bib. Now, what about your drink? You got your drink?
I got my drink over here.
What do you got?
Yep, I got
Kool-Aid?
a little spark.
Here? Oh, okay.
A little spark.
And you broke the Kool-Aid out when we were back in grade school.
Well, that would kind of be appropriate with what we have here.
So it smells delicious. Are you going to eat the bread?
I think I'm going to have to
Can we take a look at it? Can you take the top off and let's see what it looks like? I see some jalapenos in there. I see some onions, some cheese, or some dressing. There is a burger in there somewhere.
There is down there.
Oh my!
I'm going to do the bread this time.
What about layer of chips on there? You go chips on the burger?
No, no chips. I just said I'm not going to do the chips.
Oh, at all?
At all. Don't shake your head at me. You're not doing this.
You counting calories? Is that why?
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
You know, I mean, that stuff's fried. This stuff's fresh.
Yes, but it does smell delicious. Good luck, buddy. You crushed the boomstick. What did it take, about 2 innings?
No, I got that one in the 5th and finished it by the 9th.
All right, so 4 innings. So we'll start the clock.
After a mound visit, Choo fouls a pitch back. 2 balls and 1 strike to Choo, who struck out his first time up. Since I will not partake in the chips.
Same.
CJ may. Now it's 3 balls and a strike here to Choo with a runner at second. And 1 out in the 3rd, 1-0. Angels leading the Rangers. The Angels won last night 3-1. Heaney's got 1 strikeout on the night. 145 for the season. Trying to become the first Angels pitcher with 150 strikeouts since Garrett Richards did that a few years ago. That was back in 2015. 3-1 in the air, left field. Blash, he's there, makes the catch. Back to second base goes Kiner Falefa. 2 away. We talked about the control problems thus far through 3 innings for Mike Minor. He's given up just 1 run. What's your take on what we've seen from Heaney?
He's looked really sharp tonight. He's been filling up the strike zone. 70% strikes for him so far tonight. That's well above league average and even better than what he has done this year. He's been at around 66% strike, so a 4% jump for him. But he's working at a really good tempo, too, and he's kind of put the Rangers hitters on alert that he's going to be coming at them. I mentioned, of course, the left-on-left matchups and how important those were going to be, and he's done a really nice job so far outside of the double to Mazara.
Odor, breaking ball to right field off the end of the bat. Hermosillo is there, and once again, Heaney's able to work around a jam. We're through 3, still 1-0 Angels. Jeffrey Marte will lead things off here in the 4th inning. Marte struck out his first time up. 5 strikeouts through 3 for Minor. Mike Minor, 57 pitches through 3 innings. And there is the cutter in there for a strike, 0-1. Well, Marte likes hitting here at Globe Life Park. 471 batting average. Overall hitting 210. So, yeah, he likes this ballpark a lot. Saying, please don't go. No balls and 2 strikes. 89 games remaining here at Globe Life Park.
It's hard to believe. I mean, still a beautiful ballpark, but what's going on across the street is going to be pretty special. Texas Live is already open, which is the entertainment area surrounding Globe Life Park. Troy Aikman's got a restaurant in there. Pudge Rodriguez has got a restaurant in there. There's mechanical bulls and simulated golf. It's gonna be pretty special. A 100-foot screen inside, biggest screen that is not in a stadium
Or in
the United
CJ's
States.
house.
And yeah, it's true. Arlington Backyard. It's a 5,000 seat concert venue. There'll be a Lowe's Hotel there in the back. It's going to be pretty special once everything is done. The ballpark's scheduled to open in 2020.
I believe it's going to be the place to be.
I think so. And it's not just for Ranger games. That place is open every single day, 365 days. Opens up at 11 a.m. every single day. LSU Miami played here on Sunday. This place was swarming with football fans. Pre and post, because AT&T Stadium, of course, is right here. So it all kind of ties in together. We've seen the trend. The Battery in Atlanta, Ballpark Village in St. Louis. And each time they do something new, it gets better and better. And right now, Globe Life Park and Texas Live is going to be the best.
Profar in foul territory. Battling the wind, makes the catch for the first out. Well, the renderings of Globe Life Fields, the retractable roof.
That's exciting.
Air conditioning, exciting.
Pretty warm this summer. Look at that.
It's pretty
right
cool. Jerry's World at Globe Life Field.
That's going to be exciting. Fans are getting excited about it, as they should. Still a lot of conversations as far as what's going to happen here with Globe Life Park and what they'll do with it. Heard one idea or one possibility, and just rumors, nothing confirmed. But you know what happens down here at Texas high school football. There's what, a $60 million football stadium not too far from here, but there's not one, not a big one, in Arlington ISD. So some talk about maybe converting this partially, if you can believe it, to a high school football stadium.
The struggle is real.
There's been talk about maybe some residences, some businesses, maybe some retail.
The 0-2 to Taylor Ward, misses outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
But if you'll notice, and as we track visitors that come in, and for the home players, there's some guys you just mentioned really love hitting here, which you don't see a lot of.
Pitchers.
Pitchers are like, yeah.
Ward to center field to Shields. Got a good read on it. Makes the catch, 2 away.
And I always wonder about that too, as teams build ballparks and they start thinking toward the future, and they think about the idea of trying to draw free agents and how important it is to either have a balanced ballpark, or if it's going to favor one over the other, which way would you want to go as an ownership group? I think those are real conversations that happen.
If you think about it, in the past 15 years, how many pitchers' parks have been built?
That's a good question. San Francisco, would you say 15 years? I guess that wouldn't quite fall under.
I mean, give or take.
Yeah. But I mean, listen,
I could think of 2.
Was San Fran 1 for you?
Uh-huh.
New ballparks? You're going to say
Fouled
Seattle?
back by Blash. Yep, exactly. Those are the only 2.
You sound like a hitter now. Seattle plays fair. Seattle is fair.
I'm just saying, those are the only 2 that I could think of that are if fair or slanted towards pitchers, what have you. But beyond that, everything now seems almost like a bandbox.
And as strong as these guys are, and the power that they're showing, and the swings, and taking those swings regardless of count, I think are certainly part of it as well. As they're just hitting more home runs and making some of these ballparks look pretty small.
2-1 to Blash, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Blash walked his first time up. The only walk of the game issued by Minor. He's also hit a batter. That was Trout in the first.
Minnesota, maybe, at least when it first opened.
It looks that way.
And then, like, about 3 years in, the ball really started carrying there a little bit more.
Up high, 3-2. I think because of the camera angles, it looks that way. Same thing with SunTrust Park in Atlanta. The camera angles makes the outfield look so spacious. But in actuality, it's a hitter's park.
It definitely turned into one. Joe Mauer may not agree with you as far as the home runs go.
Good bounce back there for Minor. Strikes out his 6th batter of the game. It's still 1-0. Angels over the Rangers here in Arlington. The NFL is back with a huge doubleheader on Fox. Most of the country will see Odell Beckham and the Giants take on the Jaguars at 1 Eastern, followed by America's Game of the Week as Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys battle Cam Newton and the Panthers Sunday on Fox, or watch anywhere on the Fox Sports app. Check local listings for the game in your area. By the way, as far as ballparks that were built for pitchers in the last 15 years, this one hit well by Andrews to left center field. Trout going back, Blash going back. This one's gone. Andrews said, the wind's not keeping this one in.
Elvis Andrews, over the course of his career, has done a lot of damage against left-handed pitching. The numbers have been down this season. Some of that has been because of the injury and missing time and trying to get back on track. There's also been some bad luck in there for him. But look at this fastball that was meant to be down and away, finishes middle in. Elvis Andrews is as good as anybody, getting to good velocities and doing some damage. We saw a breakout year last year from him on the power side, and he does it right here in a big spot for the Rangers.
Got one up in the air his first time up, stayed in the ballpark. That one was scorched to left center field. For number 6 of the year for Andrews, ties this game up at 1 as Mazara is behind in the count 0-1. And make it 0-2. But got a text during the break, actually from my dad, City Field.
Well, that's a good point.
They then brought the fences in because
twice
it was too much of a pitcher's park.
Good point. Way to go, Dad.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
It's good to see your dad's paying attention. What's Ed doing over there? How did he miss that?
He's worried about this burger. About halfway done. Two balls and 2 strikes here to Mazara. Chopper to first base. Marte. Underhand flip to Heaney covering. 3-1 on the putout. 1 away. And that will bring up Adrian Beltre.
Nomar Mazara trying to plead his case. He felt like he might have either beaten this thing out or the bag was missed. If you kind of hear the conversation a little bit with our field mics and Jeff Bannister, excuse me, that's Don Wakamatsu on the phone, checking in to see if this is something that they want to review. It appears that they will not, but take a look at the replay and see if Andrew Heaney got the bag.
I think he did. It was close though when Mazara got there.
I think what Nomar Mazara probably saw was that initially it was borderline, and then Andrew Heaney slid that foot over just in time.
So Beltre at the plate, flew out to right field his first time up in the dirt. Before the game, speaking with Jeff Bannister, as we get a chance, so fortunate to do so, speaking with the managers, I asked Jeff Bannister what it's like to have been able to manage a guy of Adrian Beltre's caliber, and he was getting emotional. You know, he said that he is one of the luckiest managers as a rookie manager in 15 to have a guy like Adrian Beltre embrace him, embrace who he was, be a leader, be an extension of him. And now as Beltre's career is coming to a close, and we don't know if he's going to come back next year or not. 2-1, ripped to left field. Embrace that. Jeff Bannister said he wants to soak it all in. He just soaked that one in. That was a bomb by Beltre, his 9th of the year.
Hard to believe at 39 years old he still has that kind of power and the damage that he can do as the head rubs begin. And Adrian, as he so often does, fights them off. What a nice moment right there for not only Adrian Beltre, but for Elvis Andrus. Those guys, we talk about them a lot of attention paid to the relationship between Elvis Andrus and Adrian Beltre. The closest of friends, so much fun that they have out there on the left side of the infield, and for them to hit home runs in the same inning, who knows if that'll ever happen again.
Line drive up the middle by Profar. 3rd hit of the inning, 3rd hard hit ball of the inning by the Rangers.
Now the Rangers have come out swinging it here in the 4th. Here's a replay of the Adrian Beltre home run. I mentioned Elvis Andrus and how good he is at getting to good high velocities. Adrian Beltre is exactly the same. That bat has not slowed down at all, and he absolutely hammers this fastball, a no-doubter, deep into the left field bleachers.
Like you said, a really cool moment for those 2 home runs here in the 4th inning. And now Joey Gallo. First time we've seen real trouble here for Heaney. Gallo pops one foul out of play. 0-1. .34 home runs on the season for Gallo. Popped up, foul territory. Taylor Ward going over, as is Briseño, and that will reach the seats. We talked about the great power of Joey Gallo.
What I love about this, you can really chime in here. It's like calling a golf shot, right? It's Joey Gallo on number 14, right down the middle of the fairway. That thing just kept trickling. Center cut. That was an unbelievable bomb. Mark Gubazza, who I know you know has been doing Angel games for better than a decade. in that ballpark said he had never seen a ball go that far at Angel Stadium. 490 feet for Joey Gallo last year. That was a fun one to watch.
And he does it when he swings. It almost looks effortless when he hits a ball like that.
Well, his approach is pretty special. You know, we talk about launch angle, and you watch Joey Gallo. We just saw 2 foul balls that were hit pretty high. He hits absolute monster fly balls when they're outs. Doesn't happen too often. Doesn't hit ground balls very often. He's only hit into 1 double play so far this season, and you would think, well, he must uppercut like crazy. No. Joey Gallo will tell you he's trying to get through the bottom half of the ball, create backspin, and hit line drives to center field.
1-2, missed the ball completely that time. Second strikeout for Heaney, both coming against Gallo. 2 away here in the third.
And that's a real popular misconception. We had a really interesting, I thought, thoughtful conversation with Mike Sosa about that. And a lot of people hear launch angle and they think, okay, I got to get the ball in the air. But the reality is it's about having a good level swing, catching the ball out front, and then having that higher finish. It's not an uppercut swing. And if you start uppercutting too much, you're going to strike out like crazy. And you're going to hit a lot of weak foul balls. And you're also going to roll over a lot of pitches and hit ground balls to your pull side.
Kiner Falefa off the end of the bat to left field. Blash coming in, makes the running catch, and that'll do it. But 2 home runs in the inning. One by Elvis Andrus to lead off the inning on the first pitch. And then a blast by Beltre. 2-1 Texas. Elvis Andrus tied it up with a leadoff home run in the fourth. Adrian Beltre gave the Rangers the lead with a solo shot later in the inning. Jose Briseño will face Mike Minor leading off here in the fifth. Briseño flew out to left field his first time up. And Minor, despite not having command that he would want, despite not having his best stuff right now, has battled through it and has kept his team in the game long enough for that his team to take the lead. And as he falls behind in the count, 2 balls and no strikes.
Yeah, as I mentioned, this guy is a battler. He's mentally as tough as they come. He knows what's at stake, and he's wanted to pitch deep into games. He also knows the Rangers are keeping an eye on that pitch count. You may see some scrambling in that bullpen at 74 pitches. I got to believe that 90 mark is somewhere like they try to or would like to keep Mike Minor, so he's only about 15 pitches away. They know they can push him to 100. They've done it before. And this is one of those games, too, not uncommon, where you're trying to find it early. Maybe it takes you an inning or two. You find a way to keep your team in the game, and then you kind of start to get it together. And it's feeling like that might be the case here for Mike Minor tonight.
High and outside. 3-1. And Minor, if you're thinking about it right now, and you talk about the pitch count, He has a chance to get through this 5th inning. He's got 8-9-1. Get through the 5th, be in line for the win. Comes back with a fastball, 3-2. And CJ, you tell me, as a pitcher, how much is that in your head?
It's not a ton. I mean, Mike Minor wants to get as deep as he possibly can get into this game. He's aware of the score. I don't think he is as concerned about the personal win as he is about putting his team in the best position to succeed. And he knows that means holding the lead and getting as deep as possible.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Briseño. Pop foul behind the plate. That'll reach the seats.
So we had a little upset viewer. The real Art B tweeted in. He said, "What about Comerica Park, Justin? What about Petco Park, Justin?" Those are pretty good pitchers' parks.
They are. They brought the fences in at Comerica. Petco Park is legit.
Yeah. So I don't think he was just kidding. He wasn't mad. He just wanted to contribute to the conversation. It's a good point.
Well, then I don't like the tone you're taking with me, CJ.
I was trying to translate it the best I could. I was trying to really tap into how Art was feeling. And I could be wrong. He could have been really polite. But I was like, well, what fun is that?
I mean, it's Twitter after all. Who's polite on Twitter?
That's a good point. I think that's why I assumed it came in an angry tone. But you're right. Every time I watch a highlight, I was fortunate to spend the first couple of seasons at Comerica Park, and I see a home run going to the bullpens now in left field. Those would have been flyouts back in the day.
To shortstop, Andrews, the acrobatic play, Profar with a pick. Andrews doing it offensively and defensively. That gets a smile from Mike Minor.
Well, there are so many good shortstops in the game today that Elvis Andrews sometimes is overlooked, and you can see why he shouldn't be as he ranges to his left, spins, throws, great release, and he gives Jurickson Profar a chance on that hop and a good strong throw. And you mentioned the smile that you saw there from Mike Minor. You don't see too many of those from him during the game. He is a pretty laser-focused pitcher when he is out there, but he certainly enjoyed that one.
Fouled back by Michael Hermosillo. Smiles all around right now for the Rangers.
Well, that infield smiles like crazy. I mean, that is a smiling infield that they have here in Texas between Elvis Andrews, Jurickson Profar. Of course, that man right there, Adrian Beltre.
0-2.
Without a doubt, they lead the league.
You know, that's something I've noticed when speaking with people around this Rangers ball club this year. And again, entering tonight, 60-78 on the season. People affiliated with this Texas Rangers team. Breaking ball drops in for strike 3. That's the 7th strikeout of the game for Minor.
And a nice job going back to a breaking ball. We've talked about the good usage of this curveball, and there's another one right there. It's not so much the location, but the spin on it as it finishes in the upper half of the zone at 80 miles an hour.
David Fletcher. Minor is unable to retire him yet tonight. And he starts him off with a strike. But everyone says, you know what? We've still had fun. Despite the losing record, the group of guys on this team, they're great to be around. And they learn. They want to learn. They want to get better. Fletcher down the left field line. Foul.
Yeah, you're right. There's
nice
good
catch right there.
Really nice play. Big smiles, and you thought he was going to give it to his girl, but no, he's just going to show her the ball.
No.
He earned it.
Now you see it, now you don't.
Look here, good extension, good focus. Do you go one hand?
Yeah, I would have liked the left hand on that one.
Wow. Well, challenge yourself. Anybody can catch you with their left hand. But you're right about as far as what's happening here in Texas with the core that is here. You have a season like this when you expect to contend, you want to win, and you've won in the past. It can be really tough. And it's easy to get down, and it's easy to get miserable and get weighed down by losses. But they haven't allowed that to happen here, and it's because of guys like Elvis Andrews, Rougned Odor, Adrian Beltre at the top. These guys have been together for a few years now. And Jurickson Profar now joining that party as well.
Jurickson Profar using Joey Gallo's first baseman's mitt. Another 0-2 in the air to right field. Mazara Easy play, and that's a 1-2-3 inning for Minor. So he does get through 5. His team leads 2-1. Delano DeShields will lead things off here in the 5th for the Rangers. First pitch swinging, fouls one back out of play, 0-1. DeShields had a sacrifice bunt his last time up on a phenomenal play by Andrew Heaney. I think he tried to pick that one up thinking it was going to go foul, and realizing it was fair and made a flip that it's one of the better plays you'll see. Watch out.
And a nice job at the other end by Fletcher on that as well. A lot of focus and concentration as he had a cross behind Delano DeShields to make that catch. So both ends of that, tremendous defensive play.
No balls, 2 strikes. The count here to DeShields.
This is a good defensive club. Obviously, anytime you have Anderson Simmons on your team, Mike Trout in center, you're going to do pretty well for yourself defensively. Just 67 errors for the Angels this year.
Cole Calhoun usually in right field.
Yep, good defender out there. So those 67 errors, 24th in baseball. And nobody in baseball has turned more double plays than the Angels. 148 of them this season. Now, of course, the season started out with Ian Kinsler as the second baseman, but based on what we've seen from Fletcher so far, I don't doubt that he's held his own at second base and has done a nice job.
In the dirt, 1 ball and 2 strikes. It was a 3-1 ball game last night. The Angels won that one. It's 2-1 tonight. The Rangers leading this one. Justin Kutcher alongside C.J. Nitkowski here on FS1. Slap to right field. Hermosillo. 1 away. Manage your dream team in franchise mode. Plus, get weekly stats, roster updates, and more. RBI Baseball 18 is available now. Learn more at RBIGame.com. Rated E for everyone. You mentioned before Mark Gubiza, the analyst for the Angels broadcast. Talking with him, I said how RBI Baseball was my favorite video game growing up. And he's like, I don't think I was a part of that. I said, oh, no, you were. Trust me. I remember playing against those Royals teams. You were on the staff. Brett Saberhagen was on that staff. Bo Jackson was in the outfield. George Brett was at third base. They were tough to beat. Shin-Soo Choo fouls it back. 1 ball and 1 strike. Choo is 0 for 2. A strikeout and a fly out to left field. Missing inside, 2 balls and 1 strike. The scouting report on Heaney was that he typically has 1 inning that kind of gets away from him. Maybe that was the 4th inning.
And if it was, I mean, sure, 2 home runs, and if this game ends up staying 2-1, it would cost you, but it wasn't a disaster. Right? He came in, he was throwing strikes right away, didn't back down. There was also the base hit to Jurickson Profar, but he bounced back very nicely with the strikeout of Gallo and then retiring Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to finish it off. He continued to fill up the zone. He didn't get timid by any means, but sometimes the big inning could be just missing over the plate too much as well.
Good breaking ball for called strike 3. Second strikeout against Chu in the ball game. And that's the 4th strikeout of the game. Well, the Roberto Clemente Award nominees for the respective teams, Andrew Heaney and Cole Hamels, who was nominated prior to being dealt to the Chicago Cubs. One of the highest honors that you can receive is winning that Roberto Clemente Award.
Just being nominated has got to be such an honor for all of those guys, and there are so many great players that really start to understand and have understood the value of giving back and taking advantage of not only the opportunities that you get and the finances that you can acquire by playing a professional sport, but also your platform and the fact that people are going to listen to you a little bit more.
Ripped through the hole on the left side. Excuse me, on the right side. Odor with the base hit. Roberto Clemente, obviously an incredible player on the field. What a humanitarian he was off the field. One of the greatest right fielders of all time. His throwing arm, just sick. Finished his career with exactly 3,000 hits.
And only to be matched by what he did away from the ball field. And think about leaving a legacy. I'm not sure if anybody's left a bigger one, or at least as big as Roberto Clemente.
Here's Elvis Andrus. Homered his last time up. It was an honor this year getting a chance to call the Puerto Rico series, the Twins and the Indians. And being there in Puerto Rico and the impact that he has had on baseball here in the States, but on baseball in Puerto Rico. Remarkable. Think about if you're here in Texas, there is a player who came up here with the Rangers, wore number 21, switch hitting, Ruben Sierra. A lot of guys who hail from Puerto Rico wear number 21 because of Roberto Clemente. Andrus chases the pitch.
Ruben Sierra was a pretty good player. He was a better dresser. Quite possibly the best dresser in the history of Major League Baseball. I know it's pretty tough to compare guys, but I think he'd give just about anybody a run for their money.
Tell you what, he could give Ricky Henderson a run for his money as far as pimping a home run.
Oh, without a doubt. I think he put it on the map. I know Ricky was pretty good, but Ruben Sierra took it to a whole nother level.
Inside, 2 balls and 2 strikes to Andrus with 2 away here in the 5th. Connor Sadzeck is warming up in the Rangers bullpen.
Hard throwing rookie, just got called up a couple of days ago, and one of those prospects, hardest throwing prospect in the minor league system for the Rangers, and one of those that this organization is very excited about, and they'll take a look at him here in September and see if he can kind of get some work done, and it's the kind of opportunity you get to maybe pencil yourself in for next season.
Put yourself on that map come spring training time. Two is down low, 3-2.
So check this out with Elvis Andrus. A lot of times we talk about it. I mentioned it, how quick he is. They're trying to go away here, but that ball ended up middle in. And Elvis Andrus has been so good middle in. Look at these numbers against fastballs. The batting average is overall .460 against inside fastballs. And so you would think, okay, down and away is where you want to go, down middle. And that's what Andrew Heaney was trying to do. But you make a mistake middle in to Elvis Andrus with a fastball, and he will make you pay.
3-2 pitch misses outside for ball 4. And that is the first walk of the game issued by Heaney. First and second, 2 outs here in the 5th. Brings up Nomar Mazara. Mazara doubled to left center field his first time up. Grounded out to first base his last time up.
And we were talking earlier about Mike Minor, his ability to hold velocity late. Andrew Heaney just threw that last pitch at 95 miles an hour. And again, remember, those are 2 seamers, so there's some movement on that pitch. And he came in averaging 92 on the heater, and so he's feeling pretty good as far as that velocity goes tonight.
Mazara again to left center field. Trout on the run. He won't get there, and this will clear the bases. Here comes Andrews in to score a 2-run double by Mazara, and it's now 4-1 Rangers.
I was just talking about the velocity for Andrew Heaney and how good it has been, but he goes to the breaking ball here. You get a good look at the grip, and this one sat right in the middle. And with Nomar Mazara, one of the things they love about this guy is he understands situations. And guys that understand driving in runs when you get runners in scoring position are not going to let a first pitch breaking ball go by, especially left on left. And the confidence of Nomar Mazara to go after that pitch and drive it the other way tells you, I think, everything you need to know about this 23-year-old.
4 extra base hits in the game for the Rangers. 2 of them coming on doubles by Mazara. Ward makes a nice play at third against Beltre to end the inning. But the 2-run double by Mazara has made it 4-1 Texas through 5. The 2-run double, his second double of the game. It's 4-1 Texas, top of the 6th inning. Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, Andrelton Simmons. And you have to wonder if this is a situation for Mike Minor where he faces Ohtani and then is done.
Could be, or it could be batter by batter. If he's able to retire Shohei Ohtani,
he could just do everything.
As you see the right-hander up right now, and this breaking ball gets away from Mike Minor. Couldn't quite finish it off.
Connor Sadzek in the bullpen. 88 pitches for Minor.
You know, the 2 runs that the Rangers scored in that inning changes a little bit, at least potentially, right? If it was 2-1, I would say 100% Ohtani only. Since it's 4-1, you see how many pitches he throws to Ohtani. If he can get him out, and you still have that 3-run lead, you might consider letting him face Mike Trout. I think if he gets on, I would say probably not.
He has retired 9 men in a row as Mike Minor. And you love to see that. You don't have your best stuff. You don't have your best command, but you're battling out there. And Ohtani in the air to right field. There goes that one. His first homer against a left-handed pitcher. His 16th of the season.
And the crazy thing is, that didn't even sound that good off the bat. That just gives you an idea of how strong Shohei Ohtani is. Pretty incredible, and we haven't seen it yet in his career, and we just saw it as he's able to take a left-handed pitcher deep, as you mentioned, for the first time.
Jeff Bannister makes the call to the bullpen. Shohei Ohtani.
Check this breaking ball, sat middle. Mike Minor was trying to sweep it away. We saw the one that he threw to start the at-bat off. And Shohei Ohtani launches that thing 103 miles an hour, 413 feet.
Mike Minor's night is done. A pitching change here in Arlington. 4-2 Rangers lead. Mike Minor went 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned, a walk, 7 strikeouts. His 91st pitch was his last. It was a home run to Shohei Ohtani as he gives way to Connor Sadzek, the right-hander, who will face Mike Trout. And Trout, first pitch off the end of the bat to center field. DeShields coming in, will make the catch. 1 pitch, 1 away here in the 6th.
We'll take a look at Sadzek's numbers so far this season. This is his 3rd big league game. He has a strikeout in 1 inning of work. He's got a couple of walks in there. You see the fastball and the curveball. You also see a little bit of a slider as well for the right-hander. But the fastball so far has been averaging 97 miles an hour. And the curveball sits around 80. And so the differential that he gets is pretty incredible. And you saw that first pitch fastball up to Mike Trout, which is a smart pitch to him. Mike Trout's a great low ball hitter, but he is not afraid to throw that fastball up in the zone and then like use that breaking ball down. He was trying to go down there and it got away from him, but yes.
Andrelton Simmons on his birthday has an RBI ground out and a ground out to second. Martin Perez up in the pen now for the Rangers, the left-hander. One ball, no strikes here to Simmons. 4-2 ball game. Top of the 6th. Big swing, 1 ball and 1 strike.
You can go ahead and just put that on repeat. Big swing for Andrelton Simmons. You don't think of him as that kind of guy, but he has always been a big swinger, regardless of count. He lets it fly every single time. I mentioned that unbelievably low strikeout rate of just 6.6%. League average is 22%. He just does not strike out.
Well, he is behind in the count 1-2, but he hits well with 2 strikes.
It's going to be interesting to see, right? Because think about the breaking ball. It's a good one. We haven't seen it yet. You go below the zone with that pitch. I might stay out of the zone, or you can even get away with it as the accidental high pitch.
He shoots one off the glove of Profar into right field. There he goes again with 2 strikes, getting a base hit.
So they went fastball and they tried to go down and away, and instead it was elevated, but unintentionally elevated. And even at 98 miles an hour, Anderson Simmons with 2 strikes can get to this pitch. See that good hard swing that he always takes. And there's guys that try to go the other way, and then there's sometimes guys that are just a little bit late. And I think in that situation what you saw was the fastball created that base hit to right field.
Pinch hitter here. It's going to be Jose Fernandez. And a pinch hit for Jeffrey Marte. And so with Fernandez coming up, Connor Falefa goes out to speak with Sadzek. 291 for Fernandez. No home runs, 4 RBIs in 17 games. It's one thing you have to look out for in September baseball. Pinch hitters, pinch runners, with the rosters
pitching
expanded.
Changes galore.
Yeah. Outside with a fastball at 95 from Sadzek. The bottom 5 hitters in the Angels lineup tonight, 0 for 9 with a walk and 5 strikeouts. The walk was to Jabari Blash. Popped up into center field. DeShields. 2 outs. Well, Saturday on FS1, it's a potential playoff preview as Jose Altuve and the Astros take on Mookie Betts and the Red Sox. Catch the action Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on FS1 or stream it live on Fox Sports app.
You're talking about September baseball and what we see, and part of it is all those pinch hitters and relievers that are available, but also matchups, right? The ability to go left, right, left, right. Well, what's fascinating about what the Angels have going on right now is they have 11 relievers, 10 of them are right-handed. They only have 1 lefty in their bullpen right now. The Rangers on the other side of things, 12 relievers, 6 lefties, and 6 righties. So they can play a little bit more matchups, at least as far as the lefty-righty combos. Now, Mike Sosa's got some righties that are very good against left-handers, and he'll use them in those spots, but it's pretty incredible that Jose Alvarez is the only lefty they have down there in September.
Andrelton Simmons takes off, and he is in there with a stolen base. That is the 9th stolen base of the season for Simmons. Gets in a scoring position with 2 outs for Taylor Ward.
They'll take a look at the jump here from Andrelton Simmons. Good one, not a great one. Now, that was a tough pitch to handle as that fastball down and away. And you saw Isaiah Connor Falefa rush this throw a little bit and yanked it as you see it finishing on the shortstop side of the bag.
4 stolen bases on the night for the Angels. This is like old school Mike Scioscia and the Angels. In there for a strike, 1-1. By the way, going back to that promo for the game on Saturday, putting you on the spot right now, who is the American League MVP?
Oh, it's a good question. Right now it's between JD Martinez and Mookie Betts for me. Season's not over. If it ended today, probably JD Martinez, but Mookie Betts is a really good choice. Mike Trout is still a really good choice. One of only 3 players with a better than 1,000 OPS. It runs deep in the American League. Both sides really do. There's going to be some interesting voting at the end of the season this year for those major awards.
I tend to agree with you. I think it's Mookie Betts or JD Martinez. The interesting factor is how they split votes, being on the same team.
And whether or not how much you value defense.
Correct. Handcuffed. Here comes Andrews. makes the play, and that'll do it here in the 6th. Ohtani hit a home run to make it 4-2. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Hit that score. Jurickson Profar leads off here in the 6th against Heaney, and takes the first pitch outside. A new first baseman, Jose Fernandez, replaced Jeffrey Marte. Pinch hit for him, stays in the game at first. Profar singled his last time up, 1 for 2 on the night. Fouls it back, out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jurickson Profar, an extra base machine. 15 home runs, 32 doubles, 6 triples on the season. Good changeup. 1-2.
Andrew Heaney is hanging in there now in the 6th inning. You see 85 pitches. One thing we didn't mention were some of the struggles on the road for him. Away from Angel Stadium, a 4.94 ERA coming into this one, 3.26 at home, and so the road's been a little bit of an issue for him this season. I think you always expect that ERA to be a little bit higher, but that's pretty significant at about 1.8 points. And this ballpark has not been kind to him. He's had 3 starts here. Came in with a 10.38 ERA in those 3 starts.
Gets Profar to pop it up right side of the infield. Fernandez, 1 away. We talked about AL MVP race. How about the NL Cy Young and what Jacob deGrom has done? Last night, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts against the Dodgers. Look at the note below. We talked about Babe Ruth, Willie Mays in the open. How about this?
Yeah, it's been pretty incredible for Jacob deGrom. He's had some bad luck. You see it there, first pitcher since 1913 to have to basically deal with that, because that's what it is. You're dealing with that and trying to figure it out. And he's hit well in his starts. He drives runs in his starts, it seems like, and it seems like he's the only one that's also doing it. He just has not gotten the run support this year. I believe it's 3.2 runs per game. So you start looking at that National League Cy Young Award. Max Scherzer and now Aaron Nola is making his case. September will be really important for these guys down the stretch. It's really close right now. And we'll see what voters value, and that's what happens a lot of times with these awards, is you'll get different values. You can make a first place case for Max Scherzer, and you can make a third place case for Max Scherzer. Remember when Rick Porcello won it a couple of years ago? The reason he won it is because voters either loved or hated Justin Verlander. And he ended up splitting votes because he wasn't getting a lot of second place votes. He was either getting first place votes or third and fourth place votes. And that allowed Porcello to slide in there and ultimately end up winning that Cy Young Award. And that could happen this year again. And we will see. But Jacob deGrom is having a phenomenal season. But so is Scherzer. So is Nola. Patrick Corbin's having a sneaky good year as well. He's not in that top 3, but he's not that far away.
Well, 2 outs as Joey Gallo struck out for the 3rd time tonight. 5 strikeouts in the game for Heaney. Here is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa taking the first pitch for a ball. You know how you were saying we need Ed Svita to do some work here in the booth?
Yeah.
Well, he did some work.
Finally.
Last time someone had 20 or more games at 3 positions, including catcher, was Craig Wilson in 2003 with Pittsburgh. We got it in just in time as Heaney works a 1-2-3 inning. We're through 6, 4-2 Texas. Season with the free MLB.TV game of the day, live radio broadcasts, in-game highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB App Bat today. It's your #1 app for live baseball. New pitcher into the game here for the Rangers. It is the left-hander Martin Perez. And Perez will face Jabari Blast to lead things off here in the 7th.
Martin Perez just got moved to the bullpen and been in the rotation. You see the numbers there, and most of that work has been done as a starter this season. 70 2/3 innings, 43 strikeouts, and Martin uses that two-seam fastball a lot. The idea there is to keep the ball on the ground. He doesn't have an overwhelming ground ball rate. It's a respectable one for Martin Perez at nearly 50%. He has got a knack for getting double plays when he needs them, but currently now going through that adjustment of being a reliever after being removed from the rotation.
2 balls and 1 strike. All right, you've been in that situation. What is that adjustment like?
Well, it's tough for him because he's had some really good years as a starter, and it looked like he was poised to have a big year this year. He had the offseason injury right on his ranch with the bull, and he ended up hurting his right elbow, his non-throwing elbow, and they thought he was going to miss the first month of the season. He worked his tail off and pretty much started right near the beginning of the season, but then eventually had to go on the DL because the pain had gotten too bad and he was probably trying to work around it, and he just really could never catch his groove and get back to where he was at the end of spring training. And so for Martin right now, the challenge is understanding warm-up time, not overdoing it, because as a starter you throw a lot before the game, and you go down there as a reliever and you feel like you have to get every pitch perfect before you're ready to leave that bullpen. And really all you have to do is get warm. Just got to get your body warm and feeling close, and then stopping. what happens is, and I made this mistake. One of the first times I went down to the bullpen, I'd gotten up a couple of times, and the bullpen coach says, "What are you doing, man?" He's like, he said, "You've thrown 100 pitches down here," like they were counting. I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you've thrown 100 pitches. You need to stop." And so those are little things that you learn. I was young then, and Martin's been around a while, and he's pitched a little bit out of the pen in his career. Not much. He had 6 games out of the bullpen his rookie season, but he has been exclusively a starter since. So he's not pleased, and understandably so. He wanted to be a big part of this rotation, has been in the past.
3-2, pulled foul. Do you think he has a chance to return to the rotation next year?
We'll see. No, there's an option year on his contract. He had a team-friendly contract that he had signed, and there's been some talk about whether or not the Rangers would be willing to exercise that option for next year. We will see. I mean, he's obviously not going to get that opportunity to start again in September.
Blash looks at strike 3 to open up the 7th.
But I've always wondered about Martin Perez as a reliever as we take a look at this replay, because he's always had a pretty good fastball. And you see that one there well spotted up at 94 miles an hour. And I've wondered, would the fastball play up a little bit more? Will he see a tick or two? Will he start seeing some more 95s and 96s? And could he become that impact reliever? I know he's probably not thinking that way right now, but you look at his stuff, and for a while there, he was among the harder throwing left-handed starters in baseball.
Take something off there to Jose Briseño.
And that's a great combination. You just saw a 94-mile-an-hour fastball with a really good breaking ball. And if he's committed and wants to be a great reliever, no doubt in my mind, he has it in his arm.
And no offense, the way the game is changing right now. Briseño to shortstop. Andrews gets a clean hop. 2 away. There's a lot of money for relievers.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Starting pitchers aren't getting what they were getting 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
Well, he could be an impact reliever. He's still young. He's only 27 years old. And so he's in what we would think would be his prime right now. And we'll see what happens with Martin. He's only been with this organization. I'm sure it'd be if he had his choice, being in the bullpen here in Texas or being a starter somewhere else, I think that'd be a tough one, but my guess would be he'd want to start. I think he's still young enough where there's time to get back on track and get back to who he has been in the past.
Michael Hermosillo 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, 1 swinging, 1 looking. 2 balls and no strikes.
He's never gotten a hold in his career. This will be the first opportunity for that. The Rangers leading by 2.
Off the end of the bat, he deflects it. Tough play for Odor. Tries to shovel it to first. And able to beat it out for the infield single is Hermosillo.
There was baseballs and bodies and helmets flying all over the place on that play. I'm not sure how Hermosillo's helmet got involved in this. First, you're going to see Martin Perez. It's just a natural pitcher reaction. If he doesn't touch that ball, it's probably a standard 4-3 ground out. But as a pitcher, you're always thinking about trying to get the ball. Did he like flick his helmet off?
That's what I was thinking.
In the world. Good attempt here by Rougned Odor, who's been playing some excellent defense for the Rangers as of late.
So here's David Fletcher as a tying run at the plate. Pulls it to left field. It's first and second with 2 outs. And Shohei Ohtani coming up. Ohtani homered his last time up. His first homer as a major leaguer off a left-handed pitcher. Kiner Falefa wants to go out and speak with Martin Perez.
And Doug Brocail, the pitching coach, will join him as well. And they just want to make sure they cover this scouting report and what they want to do. Even though Ohtani has struggled against lefties this year, we obviously just saw the home run, and so there's a spot that they want to be a little bit careful with, right? We saw a breaking ball for a strike, and you get this kind of RBI situation. And probably part of this conversation is, first pitch get me over breaking ball is something you likely want to stay away from.
And one thing that really impresses me about Shohei Ohtani, as Chris Martin begins to throw the righty in the bullpen, if Ohtani gets on, you've got Trout coming up next, is Ohtani kind of like Ichiro. You'll see him sometimes, his backside falls away. This is his home run against Mike Minor last inning off the breaking ball. But in a situation like this, I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to shoot one to left field.
Yeah, he might be able to do that. That fadeaway is one of those things. It's almost like pitching when you spin off. You can do it as long as you don't do it too early.
He takes the first pitch for a strike.
This is kind of a fun opportunity here for Martin Perez. He gets a big lefty in a big spot with a couple of runners on. New to the bullpen. I mentioned he's never had a hold before in his career. The adrenaline is a little bit of a different feel. He's been in these spots as a starter, but it's different to jump in the 7th inning of the game and have this battle.
Ohtani, ground ball to second. Odor has to hustle, and he does get Ohtani to get out of the inning. They leave 2 men on. Stretch time. It's 4-2 Texas. First, UCLA battles Oklahoma, then Iowa State takes on Iowa, followed by USC facing Heisman hopeful Bryce Love at Stanford. It all starts at 12:30 Eastern on Fox, or stream it live on the Fox Sports app. A new pitcher into the game here for the Angels. It is the right-hander, Junichi Tazawa.
Well, it's been an interesting year for him, as you see the season that he's had with both the Miami Marlins and the Angels. 23 games on the season, and the ERA, it's been a struggle for him. He also spent some time with the Detroit Tigers, not at the big league level, but spent some time with them about a month before he was released, and now he finds himself here with the Angels.
Tazawa facing DeShields, Chu, Odor here in the 7th, with the Angels down 4-2. DeShields 0 for 1. A sacrifice bunt, a fly out to right. Watch out. Was that the splitter that got away?
I don't know which pitch that was for Tazawa. When you dig in, I think that was probably more of a breaking ball. He throws a slider, curveball, and a split finger. That one looked like the curveball. Yeah, there it is. Fastball's been averaging 92 miles an hour this season.
DeShields to left, sending Blash back. He won't get there. That one hops the wall. DeShields can run. He'll stop at second. A leadoff double for Delino DeShields, his 13th double of the season.
He knew Delino DeShields off the bat was probably thinking 3 with his speed. He hammers this ball. Fastball that is up right down the middle. Good short quick swing there from Delino DeShields, but you're going to see this ball take a one hop off the wall and bounce right to Blash. Otherwise, there was a decent chance this could have been 3.
So Shin-Soo Choo comes up. A dangerous batter who's 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and a fly out to left. I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say at the very least, Chu's going to make a productive out.
I think it's a safe bet. He handles the strike zone extremely well. You've already seen 2 strikeouts from him. That's an oddity for Shin-Soo Choo, who's having a really nice season, 21 home runs and that 273 batting average. And he's got some room on the left side. Andrelton Simmons is playing kind of up the middle right behind the runner Delano DeShields. So there's some room on the left side. He starts to back off a little bit.
Pulls that one off his own foot, leg.
It's about 3 games in a row now for Chu where this exact thing has happened, where he fouls a ball off and is instantly in some pain. And this one caught that shin guard. He was not wearing that a couple of nights ago. It hit his shin. He put that shin guard on last night, hit the very top of the padding, and there it is again. So even though you have the padding there, you can see it. It's pretty thin. And if you're sore underneath, that does not feel good. And he's dropped his bat like that every time. Each of the last 3 times he's fouled the ball off his right leg.
David Fletcher playing about 5-6 steps deep on the outfield grass at second base. Rolls one over, 1-2.
And much like Nomar Mazara, Mike Trout is slightly shaded toward left field, and that's because Shin-Soo Choo can drive the ball just like Mazara can. He's been one of the best in baseball. I haven't looked in a while, but he had been top 3, top 4 OPS the other way, and slugging the other way, I should say. His ability to take pitches on the outer half and do some damage and hit balls in the gap and hit it over the fence. So that's why you see Mike Trout shading there a little bit.
Tazawa's 1-2. Misses up high. 2-2.
That's a good pitch to Chu, up and in from a right-hander. When you have guys that use the field so well like he does, that's a tough pitch for them to get to. If they're thinking about trying to keep that flat swing and maybe lay something out to left center, up and in is a pretty tough spot to get to.
Do you think he's thinking left center or to pull the ball to get the runner over to third?
Well, I think at this point with 2 strikes, he's probably thinking a little bit more right side. The issue becomes what pitch you get, right? I mean, if a guy throws you a pitch that you know you're not comfortable pulling to the right side, then you try to push it through the left side if you can. He's got great bat control, great bat to ball skills, strike zone recognition. And so I think at this point, you'd like to hit a ground ball to the right side, but remember, you're also up by 2. You can take your shot if you see something up and away, and the idea of maybe driving it to left center.
In the air to center field, Mike Trout. DeShields not going anywhere. Well, I was wrong.
Second baseman, Rougned.
One away for Rougned Odor. Odor singled and scored his last time up in the 5th inning. Came around on a 2-run double by Nomar Mazara. You know, sitting here in this booth looking out to right field, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to miss this ballpark. I feel like the upper deck in right field reminds me a little bit of old Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, I think that was the goal when they designed this place. Give you a little bit of that feel.
Off the end of the bat, Tazawa checks the runner back. Well done. Fernandez gets his foot back on the bag. 2 away. There it is. Right field, upper deck. A little bit of an overhang.
Yeah, it's a really nice feature in this ballpark, and this ballpark is held up well.
The office buildings are beautiful. It's just a great look from home plate.
Yeah, I like the enclosed look, and what they did out there in center field is a good backdrop. Dead center, that's that Hyundai Club. It's kind of hard to see, but with the tinted windows. Joey Gallo last year hit a ball over that Hyundai Club.
A la Josh Hamilton.
It was unbelievable.
1 ball, no strikes to Elvis Andrus, who's been on base twice, walked and scored his last time, homer back in the 4th, and flew out to the warning track in the 1st. 4-2 Rangers leading the Angels. There's a strike, 1-1. As Shields led off with a double. Chu flew out to center. Strike two, 1-2. Odor ground out to the pitcher, and now Andrews behind in the count, 1-2. Did not like the call by Jordan Baker right there. To right field, Hermosillo is back there to make the catch and end the inning. A leadoff double goes for naught. We go to the top of the 8th, 4-2, Rangers lead. It's sponsored by the Lincoln Motor Company. Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. We move to the 8th inning. And a new pitcher on the hill for the Rangers as they lead 4-2. It is the right-hander, Chris Martin.
A couple of trips to the DL for Martin this year, so it's only game number 40 for him, but he's done a pretty good job to see the 31 strikeouts and only 5 walks in 35 in the 3rd innings. You'll see a fastball, cutter, slider, and the split finger from the Rangers right-hander. And that fastball, it's a good one. It is average for Chris Martin this season, 95 miles per hour.
And he gets the treat of facing Mike Trout to lead off this 8th inning. Trout still looking for his first hit, was hit by a pitch, stole a base, 0 for 2. And he takes the first pitch at 95 in for a strike.
You almost wonder in this situation, as good as Mike Trout is, would you rather face him when he already has a couple of hits or face him when you know he's probably due for a hit? This guy is so good. He's been so good against the Rangers over the course of his career. He's been really tough for Rangers pitchers to hold down for an entire game.
Check swing. Did he go? The appeal to first base, and Greg Gibson says no. C.J. Nitkowski says yes.
I heard some screams from the dugout as well right now. Let's take a look at this from the side. Yeah, I'd say that was a missed call.
Best player in the game.
He wants to look at
the ball to see if there's any.
Well, make sure that ball wasn't in the dirt. Oh. Yeah, I wonder if they thought that ball was in the dirt and they gave it back to him. So Mike Sosa just wanted them to check it.
Eric Hinske, the hitting coach, there next to Mike Sosa. For a while, it was like a guarantee. If Hinske was on your team, you were going to the playoffs. And that one's in the dirt.
Now you got a new ball.
Yeah.
So I know you tried to do some damage on your burger, and you wanted to know whether or not that counted as being finished. And most of it was finished. So I took a picture and I sent it out. We got a pretty good response here. from a woman who said that looks like when my kids spread their vegetables around on their plate and then tell me they're done.
Oh, I said I wasn't eating the chips.
I still see onions and jalapenos
Well,
in there.
yeah, of course there's some onions and jalapenos. Those were excess.
About 15% of the bun.
Erroneous on all counts.
11% of the bun. I'm not.
Hey,
they
you know
weren't
what?
my words.
Mike Trout is the one up right now.
Just telling you what the people think.
Best player in the game. One of the greatest players in a long time. Slow ground ball to second. Odor has to hustle, and he just does get Trout hustling. And remember, Trout was hit on the knee in that first inning, and you wonder if that slows him down just a little bit.
One guy asked if you only play 14 holes of golf and call it a full round. I might have just made that up.
See, look at Trout. Still, he's hobbling a little bit, but you saw him busted out of the box. It's almost the Joe DiMaggio mentality by Mike Trout.
Well, he's been a stud, an Iron Man without a doubt. He's had some things here and there, but
even when he's banged up, he goes out and he's giving it his all, because you never know if someone's coming to see him for the first time.
Yeah, sure. I think that's probably a fair point. We talked about it earlier and how aware he is and how great he is with signing autographs. And listen, he's the best player in the game and has been for a few years now. And there's always demands on your time, and it's not unreasonable to be a little bit selfish once in a while. And you don't really see that from him.
Simmons to right center. Here comes DeShields to make the catch. 2 away. This is how special Mike Trout is. All-time leaders when they turn 27. Way ahead of Pete Rose.
That's amazing.
Way ahead of Barry Bonds. He's ahead of Ricky Henderson in runs scored. Just shy of Hank Aaron. And walks, he's shattering Barry Bonds. You know, what's amazing to me about Mike Trout is I've spoken to a few people who I respect a ton in the game. And after his first full year in the big leagues, I said, hey, how good is Trout? And they said, the best player I've ever seen.
Really?
And I said, come on. I mean, there was Griffey, Bonds. They go, the best player I've ever seen. Hits for average, hits for power, has speed like Mickey Mantle did, the way he gets out of the box, can steal bases. He can do everything. He is the best player they've ever seen. And I thought that was kind of hyperbole. He has backed it up.
Well, he certainly has. And as we look at that board with all those numbers and comparing him to other greats when they turn 27 years old, I think the one that I'm most impressed with, as simple as it may sound, is the hits. Because there's shifts like crazy right now. Obviously, he's playing on the West Coast, so the travel's pretty heavy for him. You got a couple of teams within your division that are 2 time zones away in the Rangers and the Astros. And you got a situation where you might be seeing the same pitcher every once in a while 3 times at the most. And that was a little bit different for Pete Rose, not to take anything away from him. Now, if he puts that long career together, I don't know if Mike Trout wants to play baseball into his early 40s. He may want to. Maybe he makes a run at it. It'd be tough to do.
Mike Scioscia, I asked him, I said, can you compare him to anybody that you've seen in your time in baseball? And he said, I'm not saying he's him, but the only guy who can impact the game like him was a young Ken Griffey Jr. as this one eats up Elvis Andrus off the bat of Jose Fernandez to extend the 8th inning.
This ball was pretty well struck, but it was right at Elvis Andrus. Talking about good he is, how he has been defensively. That one just got on him a little bit quick. Really nice play earlier tonight, but that will be an error for Elvis Andrus.
E6 for Andrus. 7th error of the season. Brings up Taylor Ward, who homered last night, a 2-run shot. A 2-run shot right now would tie this one up.
This is certainly a much better matchup for the Rangers. We talked about those splits for Ward coming into tonight. 304 against lefties, just 154 against righties. I'm surprised we're not seeing a Cole Calhoun pinch hit right here. Chance to tie the game in this ballpark. No lefty up in the Ranger bullpen.
Check swing. Did he go? He did this time, says Greg Gibson. Taylor Ward. Mike Trout.
He went a little further. Not much. That'd be fun to watch those side by side.
The Michael Jordan rules, the Mike Trout rules. I'm all for it. Nice play by Profar at first base. That was a fair ball, and that ends the inning. 4-2 Rangers as we go to the bottom of the eighth. Texas leading the Angels. Home runs by Elvis Andrus and Adrian Beltre. Mike Minor right now in line for the win. 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 7 strikeouts. Shohei Ohtani did go deep for the Angels. His 16th of the season. That was off of Minor. And that was his first home run as a big leaguer off a left-handed pitcher. New pitcher into the game. It's Hansel Robles in here for the Angels.
You see a season, what he's done this year. That is at, excuse me, with both the New York Mets and the Angels this year. And for the right-hander Robles, you'll see a good fastball. It's averaging 96 miles an hour this year. The slider at 88, and the changeup, supposed to be a changeup, averages 90 miles an hour.
Mazara behind on the count 0-2, and Mazara had the big double his last time up, scoring 2. That broke open the game. Made it a 4-1 game at the time.
Robles is a really good example of how difficult it is to survive as a right-handed reliever if you're a good one when you first come up through the system. Remember, he was with the New York Mets. They used him a ton, and he was up a lot and he pitched a lot. 68 games, 77 innings back in 2016. He performed pretty well. Started to struggle a little bit. And people don't spend a lot of time thinking about that kind of stuff. You just kind of move on to the next reliever once, you know, fan base, hey, this guy stinks, let's move on to the next guy. I don't think about it. But he carried the load for the Mets for a little while. They used him quite a bit. And he started to struggle, and then he was on his way.
I compare them to running backs in football.
Yeah. It's tough. You got to grind to be able to get to arbitration before you can start making some real life-changing money. But a lot is asked of you in the meantime.
Mazara swings and misses. 1 away. Adrian Beltre went deep back in the 4th.
Yeah, and your StatCast AI is powered by AWS. Yes, and it's exit velocity of 105 miles an hour for Adrian. He hit that thing 413 feet. And at 39 years old, you're still not allowed to touch his head. But he's got some tremendous power. He's not slowing down. I know he's had some nagging injuries here and there and has missed some time once in a while, but Adrian Beltre still getting it done.
Adrian Beltre, our Gatorade proven performer, 471st career home run. Came back in that 4th inning. One of 2 home runs in the inning, the other one by Elvis Andrus. And he rips one to third off the glove of Ward. And that should be an infield single as Ward slipped, couldn't get the throw off, and it is an infield single for Adrian Beltre.
And more hard contact for the future Hall of Famer. We talked about how hard he hit that home run. He scored this one up pretty well. You see Ward down there at third base. This almost knocked him into left field. And you see him try to get up, and then here comes the sniper. He's just got to eat it at that point. There's a chance here if he could have came up with it. Adrian Beltre does not run as well as he once did. But once the slip happened, there was no chance.
I think it's because of the Beltre burger.
Could have been. Gets slippery down there after all those jalapenos and onions.
Jerks and Profar. Fouls one back this way.
It's like
you tell me.
Little League complete game.
Is that done? I said I wasn't eating the chips.
6 2/3 at best. I will have one of those chips.
I mean, that's just no love. That's right. Use your cough button. We don't want to hear you chewing.
I'm a gentleman.
Profar, that's a big swing and a miss. 0-2. A single back in the 4th, a ground out in the 2nd, and a pop out to 1st in the 6th for Profar. Getting a chance to bat lefty now against the right-hander Robles. Pops it up, foul territory, third base. Taylor Ward is over, has some room to make the catch. 2 away. Enhance your next game day experience with the MLB Ballpark app. Access and manage your tickets, enjoy check-in offers, exclusive content, and much more. Download the MLB Ballpark app today. Two away here in the 8th for Joey Gallo. He is 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. 181 strikeouts now in the season for Gallo, and behind in the count 0-1. That launch angle was too high. What do you mean too high? I mean, it's foul.
110 degrees on that one from Joey Gallo, but it is amazing to watch what he does because he does hit the ball so high, hits the ball hard. And to hear him describe how he gets there, trying to create backspin to center field. And what I really like about Joey Gallo, as much as people will talk about the lower batting average in exchange for home runs, from the mental side of it, he said his approach is simple. I'm trying to do damage. I'm trying to change the scoreboard. I like that from him. He embraces who he is as opposed to trying to be somebody else.
You should learn from that.
Yeah, I really like myself. What are you talking about?
That's up high, 1-2. In the 9th, the Angels have Blash, Briseño, Hermosillo due up. You wonder if we're going to see some pinch hitters if a man gets on base.
And that's one of those innings, too, when you think about how things were set up. You could make the case that Chris Martin had the more difficult job having to face 3, 4, 5, especially with Trout leading that inning off. It's a conversation around baseball a lot of times. Do you save your closer to throw the 9th only? Or do you pick the highest leverage situation later in the game? And if you were going to run your bullpen that way, I think you're best reliever would have been in the 8th inning. Especially when they're healthy and you go Trout, Pujols, Upton. It's a pretty high leverage situation.
Right. It is a high leverage situation, no doubt. But don't they say those final 3 outs are the hardest ones to get?
They are, without a doubt. There is a mentality there that not all pitchers possess, and they struggle. There's something about pitching in the 7th and 8th inning, having a little bit of a safety net.
Gallo foul tipped in and out of the mitt of Jose Briseño.
Especially closing on the road, right? You blow it, could be game over. That's a different kind of mentality. If things stand this way, we'll likely see Jose Leclerc come out of that Ranger bullpen. He has been unbelievable in save situations since taking over.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, man on first here in the bottom half of the 8th. Gallo trying to avoid going 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Low and outside, 3-2.
That's good velocity from Robles, 98 miles an hour.
Fernandez backs up at first base. Will give a head start to Beltre. On the 3-2 pitch here from Robles to Gallo. The payoff pitch. And the golden sombrero for Joey Gallo. We go to the 9th. The Rangers trying to close it out, leading by 2. Top of the 9th we go. New pitcher is Jose Leclerc. His numbers on the season, fantastic.
Yeah, he's done a really nice job overall, and he's taken a huge step this year for the Rangers. The one thing that would get in Jose's way a little bit would be the walks. They've been pretty good for him this year, and that opponent's batting average is absurdly low. And you see them just 2 for their last, or he has been on some kind of run here as of late. And Jose Leclerc has taken over the closer role. The Rangers traded away a couple of relievers at the deadline, Jake Diekman and closer Keone Kela, and they recently traded Corey Guerin.
Eric Young Jr. is pinch hitting here to lead off the 9th inning. And he takes the pitch outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. EY Jr. in 29 games, 223, a home run, 8 RBIs. Down low, 2-1.
Pretty good fastball there at 97 miles an hour that just misses. But since Leclerc has taken over as the closer, he's pitched in 11 games. He's 8 for 8 in save opportunities. 11 innings pitched, 20 strikeouts to 3 walks in 11 innings.
Fouled back, out of play.
With 1 hit allowed. So since he's been the closer, opponents are hitting .029 against him.
Is that good?
So you talk about that mentality. And you wonder, they threw him in there, not quite sure he'd been good. What's going to happen when we put him in the closer role? Well, he was obviously very mentally ready for it. He's actually been better.
Another foul here by Young.
Oh.
Way to go. We've seen some nice plays by the fans here tonight at Globe Life Park.
It's been consistent.
With a phone in the hand.
They have been consistent, have Ranger fans throughout the year. They come to play.
2-2 called, strike 3.
So Jose Leclerc does a couple of things. He has a changeup, and then he has kind of a cut changeup slash slider, and it looks like a slider, and he basically throws it like a football. That one came in as the slider at 84 miles an hour. Perfectly well located, and not afraid to cut it in like that to right-handers. He'll also cut it away. It should be into like that to lefties, but he'll also cut it away to righties outside.
Jose Briseño 0 for 3. A couple of ground outs to short, one a great play by Elvis Andrus, and a fly out to left. First pitch, pop foul.
I'd asked Mike Trout about what's going on with their younger catchers between him and Arcia, and if he liked one more than the other, and if these guys were in a competition for next year. He didn't feel like there was enough time to maybe make any kind of assessment. Certainly these guys are both going to play, and they'll get a feel for what they have. He doesn't know if they'll try to dip back into the veteran catcher market next year, or if one of these guys shows enough where they feel confident maybe penciling in one of them as their starter next year. But they're both young, they're both hungry, and he's been really impressed with what he has seen so far.
Up high, 1 ball and 1 strike.
And the idea of impressing Mike Sosa, not easy as a young catcher. And if you can do that on the defensive side, and then you can hit just a little bit, you might find yourself catching for the Angels for a while.
Francisco Arcia is on deck. Chasing the high heater is Briseño, behind in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
So that was at 97 miles an hour up and in. That gives Jose Leclerc a really nice opportunity to open up down and away. You can see Briseño has been a little bit undisciplined, chasing some pitches out of the zone. He may cut that changeup or go to the slider down and away.
He went to the slider, and he got the strikeout. 2 strikeouts here for Leclerc to open up the 9th inning. In time for the dynamic play of the game presented by Hankook Tire. And it is Nomar Mazara.
First pitch breaking ball with a runner in scoring position. Nomar Mazara didn't wait around. This does such a nice job of spreading the entire field with some slugging ability. He drives in 2. That was a huge double for the Rangers, and that one happened for Nomar Mazara back in the 5th inning. That was runs number 3 and 4. So essentially you're looking at potential game-winning RBIs in that spot for the 23-year-old.
First pitch is in there to Francisco Arcia. Arcia pinch hitting for Michael Hermosillo. Off the end of the bat, a flare. Andrus is on the outfield grass, will make the catch, and that will do it. Another save here for Leclerc, and a win for the Rangers to split this series at a game apiece. Minor gets the win, moves to 11-7. Heaney suffers a loss, falls to 8-9. Leclerc picks up the save, his 9th of the season. 2 hours and 44 minutes was this game. Coming up next, it's MLB Whip Around with Kevin Burkhardt, Alex Rodriguez, and Frank Thomas. For CJ Nitkowski and our entire crew here in Arlington, I am Justin Kutcher. Once again, the final score, the Rangers 4, the Angels 2. Now let's get you to LA. Here's KB and the guys.